about learning that you guys probably already know, but I think it's worth talking just to have a conversation. So oftentimes we get students coming in that have gone through trying to learn technology several different ways. So there's several different learning methods, but it really boils down into sort of two sort of bridges and a spectrum in between. But the first sort of side is sort of the easy side, right? If you go to something like Code Academy or you go to Khan Academy, you kind of get the spoon feeding method. And the spoon feeding method gives you a little bit and you get a big green light and it's like, yay, and you do a little bit more, you get a big green light. And you know, a couple hours in, you're like, awesome, I can code, this is awesome. But what happens with that, where that breaks down, is you get those little bits, but you tend to plateau. So when you get to here, you're like, yeah, I can code. Then your significant other goes and says, you know, I have this great idea for an app that's going to help pets stay clean. It'll be an automated pet app cleaning service. You just push a button. Since you've learned how to code, you can build that for me, right? And through this method, it's sort of that project blank piece of paper, and you're like, well, I know how to solve one puzzle piece, but I don't know how to put the whole puzzle together, right? So this method works well to build excitement, but at some point in time, that's going to plateau. That you can only get so much from sort of that spoon-fed method. Now, on the other spectrum is the hard way to learn, and it's called project-based learning. You may be familiar with that term, but to give you an example, and hopefully I can explain why that it's hard, is say I take that app example, the ultimate dog washing app. You press a button and your dog is washed automatically somehow. You get that idea. Instead of doing the spoon-fed method, you're going to say, I'm going to take this project and I'm going to learn how to build an app. So I go to the internet and I'm like, how do you build an app, internet? And there's a website. Here's the top 10 ways to build an app, right? And you start to read one, and that first sentence, maybe it's 10 words. Maybe you understand 5 of those 10 words. So you research. You start researching the first word you don't understand. You go to a page with that definition, and maybe you understand half of that definition. So you start researching the first word of that definition, and you go to another one. If you're familiar with a site called Stack Overflow, or familiar with other learning sites, you get in this research hole, and before you know it, you're surrounded yourself by all this information that you don't know if you need or not, and you haven't even written one line of code to your app, right? And that's the hard way to learn. It's called project-based learning, and you can do it, but man, is that a journey, right? And a lot of people, frankly, give up at the point of the third or fourth page of reading a definition that should be obvious that they don't understand, right? So those are sort of the two extremes. What we do at JRS Coding School is what we call immersive learning, and basically we try to get into the middle of that spoon feeding process and that hard process. We mix projects in, we mix some signal to noise spoon-fed apps in, and go through these concepts in a very immersive way. And one of the really empowering effects is you're constantly working with the other students to learn. So it is not a solo, you're on your own to be successful. It is a team sport. And I can tell you it's more important to make sure the whole team knows the knowledge than just you know the knowledge. And the way that you'll figure that out is when you get out there in the real world and you start working, and you're like, you know, I've worked really hard this year. I'd love to go to the Bahamas for a week, right? And the company says, well, maybe the following week, because we need you to do this one special thing, because only you know how to do it. And then you finally get that week and you're relaxing, and as soon as you're totally relaxed, you get a phone call. we've got this problem with this app that you wrote, and we need you to solve it right now. Well, there goes your vacation, right? That's not much of a vacation. So that is a perfect example of why it's important to learn how to communicate what code you write and share with others, and read code. I think it's there's a better skill if you can read other people's code than actually writing your own, because if you can read it, you can understand what they're thinking, and you can understand how to solve the problem based on what they're thinking, instead of, well, this code is just too crazy, I'm just going to delete it and write my own answer. Well, they may have been privy to functionality or requirements that you're not privy to. So when you write it, you just introduce bugs and you didn't even know it, type of thing. So that's the way we work, is we work in teams. We work through these in-demand skills like JavaScript. JavaScript's probably the #1 programming language out there looking for jobs in this time and place. But we work together, and we really work on those soft skills and giving you the ability to be able to explain what you're doing.